Max,
Yes.
it's time to wrap it all up with a nice college football power poll wherein we rank the 12 FBS teams in the Lone Star State. I shook it up again. And
This one makes a little more sense than the last one.
I feel good about that. Well, especially based on this week's results.
Yeah, the results helped you.
I was
sure.
willing to give a bunch of teams a 1 week pass.
Yeah.
Not this week.
No.
Let's start with number 12. Number 12, the UTEP Miners. I mean, it was ugly. Nothing good happened.
Nope.
They played Middle Tennessee, and here's the thing that's frustrating to me is I don't think Middle Tennessee is that good. I don't think they're anything special, but they made them look like the '85 Bears.
UTEP's been good at that.
Yeah.
Making other teams look really good.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the stats, Max. Would you care to guess how many yards of total offense the Miners had in this one?
Let's go with 54.
Okay. That's a little extreme.
A little too much. I gave him too much credit.
No, you didn't give them enough.
Oh, okay.
137 yards of total offense.
I think that's an amazing victory.
They averaged
the Miners.
basically 2 yards a play.
Pretty good.
No, not pretty good, Max.
It's not negative.
Now, and look, here's the problem. Like, we're going to look at this. We're going to look at the rest of their schedule, right? They're 0-9.
Yeah.
They play at North Texas. They're not going to win that.
No.
They play home to Louisiana Tech. They're not going to win that.
No.
And they're at UAB, and they're not going to win that. They're
No.
going to go 0-12.
Yeah.
They're going to go 0-12.
Yeah.
Just super disappointing. So, UTEP's number 12. Number 11, the Rice Owls. This was a clunker.
Mm-hmm.
This was as bad as it gets. And do not get fooled by that score. 52-21 sounds like, hey, maybe they were in it. No. This game was 42-7 at halftime. It was 49-7 after 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Okay, this was a bloodbath.
I mean, they didn't quit. There's that.
They didn't quit.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Max, tell me everything you know about UAB quarterback A.J. Erdely. You're hearing his name for the first time,
Yes.
right? He went 20 of 21 for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So.
I-
What did you say the score was after 3 quarters? 42-7 still, or 49-7?
49-7 after 3
49.
quarters.
So they won the fourth quarter?
They won
I
the
don't know
fourth
what you're
quarter
so upset about,
14-3. Terrible. Just
Yeah.
I love David Bailiff, but you cannot lose to a team that hasn't played football in 2 years by 31. You can't.
Well, in his defense, I think UAB's going
UAB's
bowling.
actually, yeah, they're
6-3 going
now.
bowling.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, they are now North Texas's biggest threat in Conference USA West. But
Yeah. But we'll get to North Texas in a second, and North Texas is in pretty good shape.
number 10, Texas State. There was effort. I will say that. They did not get their doors blown off, and I
Yeah.
think that is worth. I think Damian Williams had his best game as a Bobcat. He threw for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns. They just couldn't really get the running game going. They basically got one long touchdown run by Tyler Watts. They did not, for a change, get Larry Rose, although he did run for 81 yards and a touchdown. That's because they got Tyler Rogers. Tyler Rogers threw for 474 and 3 touchdowns. And look, Texas State. This is. I mean, you hate to say this is probably this is their best offensive game.
Right.
But it just wasn't enough, and it's promising if they have found a quarter. If they can get that, maybe they can get a couple more wins out of Damian Williams down the stretch.
Yeah.
But it's a lost season, and that's a little bit disappointing when we were kind of expecting a step forward. Number 9, the win column, Baylor Bears.
They got a winning streak going, man.
They have a 1-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I didn't think they played super great.
But they did what
they
they're
were
supposed.
fine.
You
They
know,
were fine.
Kansas is terrible, and you should beat Kansas like that.
Kansas is awful.
Yeah.
Kansas is awful.
Yeah.
That's the first Kansas game I've watched this year, and they're
Yeah.
horrific.
That's my third, and I can say that they have not gotten any better.
But look, I thought Charlie Brewer looked good. He dropped a couple dimes in there that were really impressive.
He's got a great feel. He makes good, smart runs when he needs to.
The Baylor offensive line still stinks.
Yeah.
And I don't think the defense is as good as it looked. But a win is a win, and Matt Rule is in the win column. They needed that one. They needed that one because I think that an 0-12 season can be a program killer. And so
They can.
So they got their win. They'll probably finish 1-11, maybe 2-10.
Right.
But this was important. They had to get off the schneid. Baylor's at number 9. Number 8, the team they take on this week, the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Like we said earlier, Texas Tech should win this game easily, but the way they're playing, man, there's no guarantee.
What's so stinking... This is the most frustrating team in the state.
Because they get like a quarter or quarter and a half into a game, you go, oh, they got this. They're just going to cruise from here, aren't they? And they never do.
Go back to the West Virginia game. They should have
won.
They should have won the West Virginia game. No excuse to blow that lead. In the
you can go all the way back to the Arizona State game, though. I mean, they were running away with that, and it got scary at the end.
And they held on. There's that. Oklahoma, nobody expected them to beat Oklahoma. They played okay. Honestly, I think that's more of, you don't believe in moral victories, but that was an okay result.
Right.
Iowa State, I mean, there's now we don't really know what they are, but I think
State's
fine, whatever.
Really good football team.
You probably shouldn't get dominated at home by Iowa State.
You shouldn't get dominated at home by Iowa State, but I think we know at this point that there are 3 good defenses in the Big 12, and Iowa State's one of them.
So there's that. There's no excuse to lose that game to Kansas State when you can make a 27-yard field goal and win it, basically, at that point. And they didn't. And they choked it away, and now they're going to miss a bowl. That's the bottom line of it, is that was their chance to make a bowl. That was their bowl game right there, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's and it would not surprise me if Cliff Kingsbury's gone too.
Yeah.
Clayton Hatfield might have just cost him his job. Now it's not all his fault.
No.
He can't miss a 27-yard field goal.
You can't miss a 27-yard field goal. It's one of many mistakes that have led to this point. So
yeah. And by the way, in overtime,
right,
the 4th down call.
Oh my God!
First of all, they call timeout to get the play on fourth and goal at the 7 or something like that.
Something like that.
And they decide to run a fade. First of all, not a great idea.
No.
A fade's a bad play. And secondly, Nick Shibnett throws it out of the back of the end zone.
There wasn't even a chance to make the play.
It was not even close. It was the first row.
Right.
Terrible play call, terrible execution, terrible game, terrible result.
I mean, I'm sure they saw something that led them to believe that they would be open on a fade in the corner, but it just looked as bad as it could look.
Speaking of looking as bad as it could look, number 8 rather, the UTSA Roadrunners.
Oh, number 7, you're right.
Number 7.
Yeah.
Remember when they were the team we were banking on to have a real breakout year?
Don't go to Miami, man.
Man, that is ugly. They cough up 2 fumbles. Those end up being pretty costly. The offense just stalls out to the tune of 254 yards, 5 yards total offense.
Just not been able to move the ball, man.
And the offense just isn't very good. I mean, they got shut out. When did they score? They scored. I know it was in the 4th quarter, but when was it?
It was late. It was late, and it was because that was the worst. Because if you were watching it, it gave you some hope.
Yeah. So they score. They score with about 14 minutes left, and then by the way, they pick off.
Yeah.
First play, they pick it off, and you're like, here they come.
Here we go,
They're gonna
baby.
pull it out, and they march 15 plays, 67 yards, and go for it on 4th and goal at the 1 and get stuffed.
Yeah,
that's ball game.
Yeah.
And
look, the way that offense is built, the way Frank Wilson wants to run the ball, you got to win on a 1-yard play like that.
They can't.
That
was the ball game right there. Yeah. And right now the offense is a major problem. Now look, UTSA is still going to a bowl. Okay,
right.
They're 5-3. They've still got UAB is suddenly tough.
Well, I don't know.
Marshall and Louisiana Tech. Let's just say they get one. They'll go to a bowl.
Yeah,
I presume.
It's gonna be close.
It'll be close.
It's gonna be close.
But remember when we were talking about could they run the table?
Right. A lot's changed.
A lot has changed.
Yeah.
And this was, all 3 of their games have been close, and all 3 of their games have been all 3 of their losses have been a result of the fact the offense couldn't do it.
Right.
Number 6, the SMU Mustangs. That was better than I thought it was going to be.
Boy, you're not.
They were in it. They were in it.
Oh yeah, bless his heart. You got to be sick for Trey Quinn because he drops a 4th down pass that would have given them a 1st down, and it was like. He never drops it.
No, he never does.
Never.
He's the most sure-handed receiver they got.
They are as good as they are this year because of his emergence, and you could tell he wanted to puke all over everything after it happened.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that's still a drive where they would have only tied the game. But they played great against a team that's been awesome this year.
I thought they actually played okay. I think that there's a lot you can take away. I thought their defense played really good.
Central Florida's murdered everyone.
They've really,
right
even though they give up 412 yards through the air, they came up with plays when they needed to. They ended up forcing 3 turnovers that kept them in the game. They got their back broken on a couple really huge plays.
We're not handing out moral victories. I think we're more just a surprise because this is a foregone conclusion. Right. They were going to get smoked, and they didn't.
Think it was, and they didn't. And so it's to me, it's not good, but it's not as bad as it could have been. They're number 6. Number 5, the Texas Longhorns. I will say, I thought that look, if you're a defensive coach, you got to be thrilled with it. I mean, they gave up a couple big plays early, and then they kept that team. They kept the defense in the game. They kept the whole team in the game.
In modern college football, you hold a team at 24 points, you can probably win that game most of the time.
But the offense look, you give credit to the TCU defense. We'll talk about them in a second. But the Texas offense, like the offensive line, is in such shambles right now.
Here's the thing. Can we just say this, like on the record officially? I've seen so many freaking pieces about, the play calling, Tim Beck, they don't have playmakers. Man, the bottom line is they got no offensive line, and you can't do crap without an offensive line. And there's nothing.
When the postmortem is written about maybe we'll write it when we do it here in Texas Football Today. When the postmortem is written about the 2017 Texas Longhorns, the key moment of the entire season will be when Connor Williams got hurt.
Yeah.
Because he was their best offensive player, let alone offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And when he got hurt, the entire offense went downhill. And that's the bottom line, is that the offensive line is just not very good right now. And when you go up against an excellent defense like TCU has, it's over.
I mean, it's just overmatched. It's thin. It's overmatched. Your right tackle is a true freshman who weighs like 270, Derek Kerstetter, and bless him for trying. I mean, he's clearly probably going to be a good player because he's handling himself okay, but he also gets just run on some plays. And that's what it's going to be because they just don't have an offensive line. They don't have what they need there.
Speaking of not having what you need, number 4, the Texas A&M Aggies. Hey, guys, do you like this song? Here's another verse. It's just the same thing. And we talked about with the Tech game how Clayton Hatfield's missed field goal might have ended Cliff Kingsbury's tenure in Texas at Texas Tech. That blocked punt return for a touchdown before halftime might have ended Kevin Sumlin's.
That was a killer.
Because what was it? It was 14-13 at that point?
Yeah, it was 1 point.
14-13, and you're like, all right, hey, we're going to get the ball back, even if we just kneel it out.
Take it into halftime? This is a ball game. Or
they kneel it out. It's 14-13. We're right in that.
Yeah.
Block punt.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's 21-13, and Auburn gets the ball to start the second half. And it was like, that was it. I never after that block punt, I was like, that's it.
And look, I mean, this isn't Mississippi State. Auburn's even better than Mississippi State.
Auburn's pretty good, but I didn't watch that game and feel like, man, they're really good.
No, but I mean, it's also just one of those you just feel like a couple things go differently for A&M, but that's been the same song, different verse.
And here's the bottom line of it, man. We mentioned it. They got 3 more games left.
Let's just
say they go 2-1.
Yeah.
Still 7-5.
Yeah.
7. We were saying 8's the magic number for him, and it just doesn't look like he's going to have to beat LSU.
Right.
To do it. How appropriate.
Yeah. Or win a bowl game, which
if I think.
Right. He's probably gone before then, but yeah, it's
A&M's number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3, the North Texas Mean Green, the bowl eligible North Texas Mean Green. I want to get into this. Hold on. Because I tweeted this.
That's fine.
I tweeted that I was the one who sent out the tweet about how they were officially bowl eligible for the first time since 2013. I know they went to a bowl last year, but they weren't eligible.
Yeah.
They had to get a waiver.
Yeah.
They are officially bowl eligible.
Yeah. They did the real way.
So get off me.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that. Fantastic. Great win on the road at Louisiana Tech. I'm not entirely certain how they did that. I think you give a ton of credit for that defense for keeping them in the ball game when that offense was just farting around.
Yeah.
The defense kept them in, and then they got big plays from Jeffrey Wilson. Mason Fine was great. Rigo Buster was great.
They're in unbelievably great shape. Have you looked at their last 3 games?
Yeah, dude.
Holy cow! If they do not win this division, it will be a disaster.
Well, now it's so crazy to think, but this is going to come down to UAB because they're 5-1.
Yep.
They already beat UAB.
That's what I'm saying.
So now
look at those last 3 games.
UTEP.
Ha!
They better beat UTEP.
Right.
And they're at Rice.
Yeah.
And then Army, which is not a conference game.
Yeah.
So they barring a total and utter collapse, they clinched a spot in the CUSA title game.
You want the bad news?
They're probably going to play Florida Atlantic.
They're going to play Florida Atlantic in the conference championship. But You get there.
You get there.
That's crazy.
That's really, really good.
I mean, look, they're going to win at least 2. They should win all 3 of those games. 9 wins. Your 9-win Mean Green.
Pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing. Number 2, the Houston Cougars. Look, they played a bad team, and they beat them pretty
Like a
soundly. They and that's another game where that score, it's 52-27, and they gave up a couple of big plays to ECU, which we kind of said when we were doing the picks.
But they also answered the call.
They did.
They responded to every single one of those with a score to just break their backs.
Every time like ECU would like crawl within like striking distance, they'd be like, "Nah, we're good." And look, that's fantastic. And this offense is so different with De'Aaron King.
I mean, how far? I said it in the 5 questions. How far can he take them at this point? Now the future is bright because you're sitting here looking at him going, man, if he just gets better from here, this is going to be a special Cougs team, especially next year.
Yeah.
You have Ed Oliver on one side and him on the other. How could you not get excited about next season?
I think you're exactly
It's
right.
a bummer that it took this long to get here, but I sort of understand the methodology that led to the point,
Houston's number 2. And the number 1 team in the power poll, of course, the TCU Horned Frogs. Look, man, that's a good win. It's a good win. That's a defense-first win. It more or less played out like we thought it was going to be, where it's like the 2 defense kind of play each other to a stalemate.
Yeah.
But it ends up being Kenny Hill and a little bit of the running game that ends up putting TCU over the top. And right now, look, this is a great win. It's the game you've got to have to set up the game you got to have.
Yep.
Now you go to Norman.
Yep.
You beat Norman, you're in the Big 12 title game.
It's going to be a fun week.
So,
look, and it's not just that. If they win this game, it probably means Mayfield doesn't win the Heisman, too. If he wins out from here, he probably wins the Heisman.
probably true.
If he loses this one, it's going to get a lot harder for him, too. So you could deal them 2 blows, which I'm sure for Gary Patterson's crew, after everything they've said about Mayfield and his father, would be especially satisfying. It's kind of a little layer of sugar underneath this one.
A little extra season.
Yeah.
That's the power poll. Number 12, UTEP. Number 11, Rice. Number 10, Texas State. Number 9, Baylor. Number 8, Texas Tech. Number 7, UTSA. Number 6, SMU. Number 5, Texas. Number 4, Texas A&M. Number 3, North Texas. Number 2, Houston. And number 1, TCU.